thank you for joining us today. This has been an effort of many people within the organization to get going. We certainly are excited to have you with us today. We will be taking questions at the end of our event. The topic of today is back to business. We will be talking about some of the applications that you can create, some of the things that you can do with the print and cut devices that we manufacture, and some of the things that you can do to help your local communities with printed and cut goods. We hope that this is informative, educational, and certainly entertaining. I think we've entered into the entertaining part already. Before we do anything, we'd like you to check out the promotions on our website. Go to mimakiusa.com for any of the promotions that we have on any of the products. If you're looking for a print and cut device, or if you're looking for a way to expand your business, it's a good place to start. Also on our website, we have webinars, tech tips, other content. It'll give you some information on how to use the equipment. It'll give you some great information on applications that you can consider to add to your portfolio. A lot of great information, tech tips, tricks, all kinds of different things. So check that out. Don't forget to follow us on social. Again, visit our website. We will be taking questions at the end of this event live through the chat window. So for those of you that do have questions of us, please post them in the chat window throughout the dialogue here. We're going to field them. We've got some technical experts that will be joining us in a little bit, and we'll try to get to as many questions as we can. So I know we started a little late today. Thank you very much. We will announce a special promotion to our audience. For those of you that have been waiting patiently, we do have a special promotion that we'll be offering to our people, our viewers today that are watching and that have some interest in our products. So I am Michael Maxwell. I am the Senior Manager of our Corporate Strategic Development Division here at Milwaukee, USA. I am responsible for trying to get all this information out and working with the teams here to get as much information in the correct format for you to take in and be successful with your product. And I am joined by my host, Lewis Jones here, who is going to join us in discussion. So, Lewis.
Hi, I'm Lewis Jones. I'm an application specialist here at Milwaukee, USA, corporate in Atlanta. My job is mostly to test some of the new techniques that we have with the printers and come up with new designs that you could be using at home. I'm a graphic designer at heart, and I'm on just to help talk about some of the changes that we've seen in this new environment we found ourselves in. And to that point, we have later on a friend of ours, Molly Waters from Avery Dennison, to talk about some of the trends she's seen in the new climate with just design trends with materials that Avery Dennison makes.
Yeah, and then we will also have a segment with our 3D specialist, Josh Hope, who will talk about some of the applications that have come up as a result of COVID. Yep. Again, our theme today is back to business. We're trying to provide some information, some education, and a little bit of entertainment for you, our audience, to enjoy, to learn new things that you can do with your current Milwaukee product or a product that you might be thinking about adding to your business so that you can expand and create more opportunities for yourself. We will, again, be wrapping up with questions from you, our audience, at the end. So, again, use that chat window, follow us on social, go to our website for any more resources that you have. And thanks for sticking with us while we worked out a couple of those bugs at the beginning of our broadcast here. But we're going to get started. So I would like to start with a little bit introduction about Milwaukee in general. So Milwaukee is a 45-year-old company. We are based out of Japan. We are 100% focused on the print and cut community. So we are an innovative company. We're a very young company, and we're constantly coming up with something new, something different for the market. We serve over 150 countries through our local offices. And in the U.S. and also in Canada, we have offices in Rockaway, New Jersey, Boston. We have a location here in Atlanta where we're broadcasting from. We have one in Dallas, Texas, up in the Milwaukee area. And we also have one in Los Angeles and then in Toronto in our Canadian office. So if you are living in any one of those cities, you certainly have access to the equipment if you want to come in and see, and we invite you in. And we'll talk a little bit about that today as well, about what we're doing to make it safe for you to come in. And then we'll show you some of the applications. And Our aim is to boost customer business through print and cut technologies worldwide. So we want you to take some of the innovative products that we've come to market with and be as successful as possible. So that's why we have team members like Lewis, and we have other team members throughout the entire world that are constantly creating new applications, creating all these how-tos, tech tips, everything else that you could need to ingest so that you can create, sell, support your family, support your local communities, and enjoy what you do, right? We really enjoy what we do here. So we want you to do the same thing. So we are 96% in-house manufacturing. That's really important for us because that gives us the opportunity to come to market with products much quicker than anybody else. So if we see a trend, or if we see something that's coming up, or if our application specialists embark upon something new, we can develop that. We can go to the production facility. We manufacture the inks. We manufacture the equipment, a lot of the electronics. The software is all manufactured by us or developed by us. And it gives us an opportunity to come to market really quick with products. And we tend to come to market with products that are very focused on a particular market segment. So we serve 3 distinct market segments in our portfolio. So sign and graphics is certainly the largest one, and that's part of what we're going to be discussing today. Our industrial product category also has 3-dimensional printing involved with that. We'll talk about that as well. And then we have a textile and apparel division that creates nothing but devices that print on upholstered goods, wearables, basically any fabric that you can think of, we have ink for. And we do make all the ink in-house as well, so we're really able to fine-tune the equipment and get everything working exactly the way you want it to work. So what are we going to do to get back to business, right? So COVID has changed the landscape significantly in the past few months, and Mimaki is part of the printing community, and printing is a critical piece with graphical communication to helping businesses open. So those of you that have gone to any retail space just in the past couple of weeks when things have started to open up, you've probably noticed a lot of printed goods, a lot of graphical communication. So I want to talk to Lewis a bit about how graphical communication has affected these types of events, because this isn't the first time a event like this has occurred. You know, pandemics have occurred in our past. So, Lewis, in past pandemics, since the printing press came around and became part of our culture, you know, in the 15th century, it's been around for a while, printed goods have provided an opportunity for the public to understand what's going on. So, as a designer, as someone who runs the equipment, what does this type of graphical communication say to you?
To me, that is a very scary bit of signage. Information is very important. One of our jobs with graphic design is to get things to the public and relay information to the public. But that is very busy. There's not a lot of negative space. We've definitely grown in the way that we've relayed information to the public. I'm sure a lot of the signs that you've seen today, like in your day-to-day, are very friendly, very colorful. Text is important, but relying too much on text can be jarring for normal people. You want to add in friendly images of people, real faces, even objects that you would see in your day-to-day life, and a lot of color, a lot of vibrancy to, you know, make people see that things aren't as bad as they are.
Yeah, so something like this is a little bit more graphical.
That's more updated. That's slightly updated. The message in the previous poster was actually more uplifting than this one, but it doesn't come across that way just because you see people's faces in that. And even no matter how generic the information is that you're giving, still just showing a person's face is helpful.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of this type of graphical communication was very manual in process. Digital gives us an opportunity to create things on the fly and get it out to the public in a much more timely fashion. So as a designer, what should our customers or people looking to get into printing, what are best practices for graphical communication with this type of content? Because this is not an easy topic to discuss.
No, it's not an easy topic, but color helps. Color is an element that subtly makes people feel different emotions. Some people have heard that red and yellow, basic colors pertaining to food, red basic color reminding people that there is harm or urgency. Different colors have different motions. Blue, soothing, but still light blue, medical field. A lot of medical fields use light blues like the standard color because that is what our mind has been conditioned to think of when we see that color. So just be aware of that. We've seen something like this. This is another example of adding a person's face. So yes, that is very friendly, but it's very gray. With digital printing, we have the ability to make a wide variety of vibrant colors. Relying too heavily on one aspect of design could limit the amount of exposure that your signage is getting.
Yeah, I mean, digital, obviously we can create many colors. We have a really wide spectrum of colors we can create. So you're not limited to one color at a time like analog processes.
Yes.
Are there any one technology that sticks out when you're developing this? Because obviously we have like our JV, our CJV products, we have solvent technology, our UCJV, UJV55, we have UV curable, JFX, UV curable. So is there any one technology for a shop that's going to be producing this type of graphical communication to lean on, or do they all work well? What are the benefits to one?
The different printers that we have all work well in different situations. Of course, our solvent printers, the JV 300, perfect solvent inks. It's vibrant colors. It's the heating on the machine makes drying very fast. However, the UV inks, I've seen an uptick in requests for artwork being made with our roll-to-roll printers like the UCJV. They use UV inks because of the speed that it allows us. Instant UV curing on these printers means that the second you are done printing something on this machine, it is ready to be applied to whatever wall or floor graphics or window graphics that is being applied to. It helps to have something that you can put out into the public immediately because it limits the amount of time that you need to wait. Sometimes new information is coming at you nonstop during pandemics, so it's going to be able to move fast. So that's why I've been seeing a lot of increase for our UCJV and our some of our flatbed printers that have the UV inks in them.
Right, because they can deliver in a much timely fashion. So, I mean, wherever you jump into the Mimaki platform, there's obviously a really good path, and there's a lot of crossover there. But from a designer standpoint, again, I'm going to kind of bring it back to that. When you're getting into designing, I noticed that as we've moved through the years here with these posters, the text has gotten more and more minimal, and the graphics have become more and more prominent. Is that something that you're going to see more and more of as people adopt these social distancing standards and put up these types of communications in their retail spaces?
Yeah, so we've moved more towards like a minimalist design in our recent graphics, which I think modern graphics is great. I love minimalist design. This was a good example of showing emotion through text. You can see clearly, I think this is an ad for Kleenex or handkerchiefs or something. It's not really giving off any like information, but still you understand what it's relaying. Oh, use handkerchiefs. That is a object that you would see a lot back in the day when this was an ad. So imagery is very important. Text should not be ignored just because you're giving off some kind of imagery that is familiar to people. I think the next one we have is an example of a COVID sign that was printed recently. That is very plain. I would say it's too minimalist. That's an example of relying too much on color, not enough on relaying information or relaying calming presence. This is using yellow and red, like I said before. Those are colors that are typically used with food. that is relaying the wrong message. Those colors are relaying the wrong message for what that is trying to convey: calm and panic. Just, it's very contradictory. So there's a problem with going too simple.
Gotcha. But then you've got communications like this that are a bit simple as well. And there's a very minimal amount of text on here.
Yeah, but that's still fine. That is imagery. There's images in there that we find not comforting, but
I find donuts comforting.
Yeah, I find tic-tac-toe comforting. Yeah, so there's a lot of things that we are accustomed to that we see in our day-to-day lives. The stop panic buying, simple, but still gives off the information that it's enough information that we need.
Yeah, so your design background has brought you into a bit of production here with us at Mimaki, and clearly with digital, you can essentially put anything on your screen, hit a button, and have the printer produce it. With that capability, how easy was it for you as a designer to move into a production mentality, and how easy was it for you to start using the Mimaki equipment once you came here?
Well, my first few jobs out of college, I was a designer. I worked in a print shop for a while. I did have a large format printer in that print shop. I will not say what printer we used at that print shop, just to save them the embarrassment of the headaches that they caused me. But I didn't work with the Mimaki printer until I came to this company. So without any knowledge of the ripping software that we have exclusive for us, Raster, without information or training on that, or training on any of the Mimaki printers, I was able to come here within a week, I think, of being at this company. I learned the ripping software, just watching people work it, just looking over their shoulders and looking up some of the manuals that were given to us. I easily was able to start making my own graphics with it. So I would say the learning curve for that is very simple, very fast.
Yeah, I mean, and as printing technology improves, more and more people are getting into printing because graphical communications is such an important part of our society. So having the accessibility of the equipment, we touched on Solvent and UV a little bit. We talked about some of the benefits there. With the UCJV, you've been able to create some additional signage, and I'll skip ahead here just a little bit for the sake of time, but we've created some signage here in our shop here, and this is on a clear film that we did for testing. So walk me through this as a designer, because this is somewhat minimalist, what you've been talking about.
Yes, another one of our application specialists, McKinsey, made this design. We printed it on the UCJV on UV inks. This is unique because with UV inks, you can get a technique called layering effects. You can get up to 5 layers right now. This is a 5-layer print. The second inks are being put down with our UV inks. Because they are instant drying, a layer can go down immediately in the same pass as something is being printed. A second layer can be put down, and there's no derogation between those 2 layers. With that effect, you can put a layer of color, a layer of black, a layer of white, another layer of black, and then another color. The effect being you have a sign which from one side has an image, the other side you have another image, and you'll get basically 2 images for the price of 1. When you do that on a clear film, you have signage that you can put on a window. On the inside, you can have 1 image. On the other side, you can have something else. So once again, that helps with speed. That helps with that helps me give more and put more information out into the world with just one machine.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously this particular one, 5-layer, is only available on UV curable technology.
Yes, and it was made easier. That was a technique that was easier to learn just because of the software that we have with Illustrator, Corel. We have plugins that help people transition their artwork from whatever design software you're using directly to our ripping software.
Mm-hmm.
So that seamless transition really helped me figure out printing, designing for printing, which was before coming here. That was more plug and play thing that I did,
Mm-hmm.
just getting something, printing it out. Now I can get information, design it the way I want it to look when it's printed, and come up with the technique with the printer to make it look good.
Yeah, and they do. They look fantastic. So
we have a few of those on some of the windows around the office. We've switched to everyone getting scanned when they first come into the office, masks. We are actually in the process of renovating our demo room in the front of our Atlanta corporate office right now. So we need to relay that information to any construction workers, any new people, any electricians coming into our office need this information. So
yeah, and
it's simple.
Obviously, this is very beneficial for us in our showrooms and how we interact with our customer base. But this is also very critical for retail spaces, restaurants,
Absolutely.
and everybody else to bring people back in. So these are fantastic. Don't forget to follow us on social. Go to our website. Check out a lot of the resources that we have available. Make sure you get everything from us. It's amazing what this team has been putting together.
Most of the applications that we've done, like the 4 and 5 layer printing, printing on different materials like window graphics, floor graphics, a lot of the signage that you would use for COVID displays in real world, a lot of those applications, we've made guides for those, and all of those are available on our YouTube page, on our website, MimakiUSA.com. All the information for the public. If you have one of our printers, you follow these instructions, you will be able to make this yourself with using these materials.
Yeah, and these we've used a wide variety of our own equipment here. So the JV, the CJV, UCJV, JFX, UJV55, and a 3D printer, which we'll also talk about a little bit later. So let's bring in. We've got our guest to come in. Let's talk a little bit more about the graphical communication as it relates to the materials that we're going to be using. So
yeah, Avery Dennison is one of our is a material manufacturer that we've worked with a lot. They provide us the materials that some of the materials that we've used to make these applications. Molly Waters is a friend of ours from that company. She knows a lot about design trends and things that have changed since we've been in this situation. She's going to come on right now. Molly, are you with us?
I am here.
Hi.
Hey,
Hello,
Molly,
thanks for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, so Louis and I have been talking about graphical design and elements, text, graphical elements that are using, that print shops are using to bring their printers to support their local communities. And we've seen an increased demand for wall graphics, floor graphics, and window graphics recently. And from Avery Dennison's perspective, we were curious if you've seen the same trends on your end and what your thoughts are there.
Yeah, we've definitely seen the same trends. You know, windows, walls, and floors have always been kind of the most common applications in that signage world, but we've really seen an uptick in the demand for the products used in those areas. You know, specifically floor graphics. That's probably the biggest demand we've seen so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've gone to the grocery store recently, and the shop that I've noticed, they went from the blue tape that was on the floor early on in April, which probably had to be replaced 3 or 4 times. And I guess that's great if you're a blue tape manufacturer, but then it's not very effective because your employees are constantly having to interact with that, getting on the floor. They're having to rip this up, place it back down. And now I've noticed that my local grocery store has graphical elements, much like what Louis was mentioning earlier, that are warm and welcoming with colors. Very easy to let us know that this is the direction that this aisle goes, not to enter the aisle at the other end. So, from Avery Dennison's standpoint, obviously the floor graphics are a very important piece. What else can we tell our audience about that? Because that's going to be something that we think is going to be a big trend, at least for the next couple of years.
Yeah. Well, and that's, yeah, so like you mentioned, the floor graphics, you know, telling people to stay 6 feet apart. This is where you stand. This is where the line forms, one-way aisles. You know, we also seen, you know, the stores I've been to, there's signs reminding people to wash their hands for 20 seconds in the restrooms. There's signs for the new store hours. You know, we all experienced the shutdown across the country, and then as things reopened, they were using, you know, modified hours for the stores. So stores or signs on front doors, you know, with different hours. When restaurants were able to reopen with takeout, you know, being able to let people know that takeout was available. And you know, one of the things that Avery's done recently is we created an essential signage brochure giving examples of all of those different types of signage, and then listing out the products that we would recommend for those applications. So that's available on our website for our customers to use as a guide.
Excellent. Yeah. And then
I wanted to ask you about lamination, particularly what lamination plays in the role that lamination plays in a lot of the signage that we've seen explode since the pandemic that we're in. We have a lot of graphics in our office right now. A lot of the floor graphics we had to laminate. We're trying to decide what would be best for laminating window signage that we have. I think the Milwaukee live signage that we have on some of these podiums, those were all on Avery Dennison and laminated just to make sure that they hold up as we keep doing these shows. So what have you heard with like the need for lamination in this time?
Well, you know, it's going to vary, depend on your application. So for floor graphics, as an example, you would always need to laminate just so that you can protect the ink, you know, from the abrasion of people walking across it, or if you're in a warehouse with a forklift driving across it. You know, we have products, our MPI 2903 permanent and our MPI 2921 easy removable. You know, those are the base films that we recommend. And then we recommend our DOL 3060 or the entire 3000 series laminates, where it's gloss, luster, or matte finish. And the key thing for floor graphics is to make sure that it meets the requirements of UL for the slip resistance. So that test is the UL 410. And if you look on our literature, you'll see that we meet those requirements with both our DOL 3000 series as well as our 2000 series laminates. And then when you get into other applications, like the background on your set there with the Mimaki, you know, you may have printed that with UV, and those inks are pretty robust, and you probably didn't even need to laminate that. You may have laminated it to give it a little bit of extra thickness, but you know, from a durability standpoint, you may not have needed that for interior use and something that's not going to see a lot of abrasion.
So something that would go on the windows inside, you wouldn't see the need to really laminate that, but outside you would?
Probably, you know, just to hold up to the elements, and really it's about how long you need it to last. You know, if it's a shorter term application, you may not need to use the laminates, but if you want it to last longer, that over laminate will help extend the life of your inks.
Have you seen an uptick in removable graphics? Because that's been the standard that I've been using when I've been printing around the office or printing floor graphics for different people, or even window graphics. They want something that's not going to leave a residue or be able to be repositionable in the next few months, because signage might change. We might need to put new information out there.
You know, the 2921 EZ has been a great product for us in that respect. It is removable. It's a relatively low tack adhesive. It works great for, you know, smooth tile floors. If you're doing a floor graphic, it works great for windows. You know, it has a clear adhesive. So if you put it on a window, you're going to not see gray from the back. And it's removable. It also has the AirEgress or the easy technology, so you don't have to apply it wet. and even a novice installer can put that up and not have a bunch of air bubbles.
Which is a godsend for us, because I typically have been told to apply different things without like any real like skill. I really defer to some other people that work here who are better at installing than me, but when I have to do it, it is good having the air egress.
Yeah.
That brings up another good topic, Molly. So a lot of print shops are producing these graphics, but the retail spaces that they're producing these graphics for don't necessarily want them to come in and do the install. So obviously you guys have some technology built into your films. On our end, we have Green Guard Gold certification on our inks, which means that the inks are certified for very good and environmental characteristics. They're safe to handle. They're safe to put into environments that might even have sensitive groups like the elderly or children, preschools, things like that. But in this case, we're doing a much broader spectrum, right? We're doing restaurants and we're doing grocery stores. So how important is the repositionability and the lamination and everything that we've talked about for someone that might be doing a self-install?
I would say it's pretty important, just because you want the graphics to look professional, even though they're temporary, and having that air channel technology really does make it easier for, just about anybody to put it up, because we're not talking great big wall murals. We're talking smaller decals that are going on windows or floors. And just having those air channels is really going to help those people out to install without having a lot of experience putting graphics on.
Yeah. Well, for us, it goes without saying, all the films that we've been talking about, the laminates, are all compatible with our solvent, our UV curable technologies that we have here in Mimaki, our CJV series, UCJV series. Our CG cutters should not go without mention.
Yes, absolutely.
For cutting, a lot of the graphics that we're seeing are not just square like some of the ones I showed earlier. Like the arrows are actually arrow shapes. We've got a lot of medallion decals now that are out there. So it's really important to be able to do the print and cut workflow. As a manufacturer, we are a very tactile selling process. So, for example, I can go online and I can buy a car. I can have it delivered to my front door, but I typically don't do something like that because a car is an investment that's going to get me from A to B. And I want to make sure that the car feels good. I want to make sure I look good in it, right? It's the color I want in real life, not represented on a screen. And I want to see how it handles and how it drives. So in our environment, our customers need to be able to come into our showrooms throughout the US and Canada, and they need to be able to engage with the machine, right? They have to come in and speak with, like Lewis, for example, and go through the paces, make sure it's going to be something that's going to work well for their business, right? Because it's an investment. It's going to last them 5+, 10+ years, depending on the product and how well they take care of it. So how has Avery had to adjust with the selling climate on your end as a result of COVID?
It's been a big change for us because, like you, we're very face-to-face. We do sell through distribution primarily, and our sales reps would be out with our channel partners as well as going into our converters to, introduce new products and just talk about business. And not being able to do that has really changed how we've had to go about our business. And we've really embraced technology. Zoom and Hangouts and Microsoft Teams are all ways that, that technology was all there, but it wasn't as embraced as it could have been. And, we started doing modules of training. So, a training presentation that takes only about 15 minutes from your day. And we would be able to present to, 20 of our channel partner reps versus going from place to place and, maybe being able to present to, 5 people in a week. We've really increased that. And, staying, in front of them and staying relevant and sharing our products has really helped. And actually, it's something I see us continuing to do even when we get past all of the COVID restrictions. So, it's the one positive that came out of this negative.
We've definitely seen uptick in webinars and online demos, and my team has been putting out a lot of online demos, just like videos that show what we can do with the printers without actually having people come in and touch the machines or test things out. But there's no real market substitute for people like coming in and seeing our machines. So we've been trying to go back and forth between the two.
Yeah, I mean, we're embracing this technology right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is part of it.
We do have the benefit of being able to send samples out. Our film is not as big as the printer, so we can send printed samples out, which is a benefit for us.
Overnight shipping has become a regular thing for us now.
Yeah.
So again, we're talking with Molly Waters from Avery Dennison. Thank you for joining us. We will have an opportunity for you to ask questions of all of us and some additional people at the end. Post your questions in the chat window. Post whatever you want to know about the Mimaki products, the Avery products, and we'll try and field as many questions as we can. Also, don't forget to follow us on social. Go to our website. You probably can shrink that YouTube window down, and you can go to our website right now, mimakiusa.com. and view some of the products that we spoke about, whether it's the solvent printers, the UV curable printers. And we're going to continue our discussion here with Molly. So Molly, moving into the future, right? So we know where we are in the here and now. We've talked about some of the key applications. What are some of the application trends beyond window floor that you see that are going to be coming up? Or do you think that these are going to be the staples for a while?
I think they're going to be the staples for a while. From an Avery Dennison standpoint, everybody's always known us for the vehicle wraps and that which we're very strong in. But this has really helped or highlighted the fact that we have these calendar films and us being able to, or it's just something that's going to continue on and on. As long as we have to socially distance, we're going to have to remind people that they have to do that. And that signage is just going to continue to change out, indefinitely.
Yeah, and the printers out there, every one of you that owns a sign shop or a print service company, you are the cornerstone of bringing the economy back up and running, because all of these retail spaces really need this type of graphical communication medium in order to adhere to their local policies, whether it's the state or the local government or the federal government, and utilizing tools that have been provided by Avery Dennison, by our teams here at Mimaki, are going to be critical for you to be successful. And you want to have the ability to deliver as quickly as possible. So I encourage you to go to our website again, check it out. Molly, one of the things that has come up in some of the topics with our customers is regards to adhesives. I think we talked about removable adhesive earlier.
Yes.
From a removable and a permanent adhesive standpoint, Avery probably has a wide variety of both. Are there any tips or tricks there that our audience should know about the adhesives when they're looking at the films to print with the Mimaki products?
Well, you have to look at what your application is. If we go back to floor graphics, where we're seeing the most use for our films right now, from a floor graphic standpoint, you're going to want to use a permanent on things like sealed concrete, low pile carpet, even like a ceramic tile that has grout lines. You want that little extra level of adhesion from the permanent adhesive, just because you're applying to something that is textured. But if it's a very smooth surface, then a removable adhesive will work just fine, because all of the adhesive is coming into contact with the floor. So example would be the smooth tile floor that we see in our grocery stores or at Lowe's or Home Depot. That smooth floor is a good option using the removable.
Gotcha. And then the installation, you mentioned earlier that we're not that good at installation.
We mentioned that I'm not that good at installation. We have other people. We have plenty of people at the company that are much better. But I'm always
You know what?
looking for more tips and tricks to make it a easier process. My default is wet apply when we're doing windows, but you were mentioning some of the tips we were talking earlier, ways to make that better, that some of the material didn't need to be wet applied. That was definitely a learning curve for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what
So yeah, we're all learning.
Yeah, we are. You know, I continue to learn every day as well. But yeah, AirEgress products with the easy technology does not require water, and you wouldn't want to wet apply that because you could trap water in the channels. The same would go for a perforated window film. You would never want to apply that wet because you would trap water in the holes. But you know that clear film that you were showing. Where you're going to have a better look right off the bat when you install that using a wet installation. So a lot of times I like to install clear films with using a liquid or wet application.
Yeah, good information. Well, all of these products are compatible with our equipment. We can create the graphics. We can produce them with the solvent and the UV curable technologies that we have. We can get them out in a very quick time frame, and we can have your products out into the market and helping the local communities get back to business. Right, that's what we're here for, is to get back to business. So, one last thing I wanted to touch on, which has come up a couple of times, is and kind of going back to where Lewis was earlier with the color representation. The printer can produce so many different colors. We have such a large gamut of color capability. But color is critical to a lot of branding, right? So, you know, the grocery store you go to certainly has a color.
Target, we've seen Target red. We've all seen sorry, not Mimaki. We've seen Walmart blue. We've seen Mimaki red. I think, what was the other one? Coca-Cola red. That's one. That's another red we've seen a lot. Yeah, but it's important to know that each one of these companies, whatever red they're using, they all have their own set Pantone colors.
Right.
It's important to know what profiles work with what printers to get the exact color that you're trying to match. Our red might look the same as Coke red on just looking at it through a screen, but see it up close. Those are two different reds. You have to be careful with that. Do you work with a lot of profiles at Avery, trying to like color match and try and get things perfect with your with using different inks on different materials that you guys have?
Yeah, we do. We actually create profiles for the key printers out there. Mimaki is one of them, obviously, and with our material. So as we launch new products or as new printers are developed and released, we're definitely creating profiles that we make available on our website, which is graphics.averydennison.com. And then profiles are available under the services section and then Icc Profiles. So customers can go right up there, choose their machine, choose their rip, and then they'll see a list of media that we have profiles available for.
Yeah, and likewise on our website, mimakiusa.com, we have a large library of profiles for the different products that we manufacture and the inks that we manufacture. If you have one of our products and you're using our Raster software, please go to our website or use the download tool built into the software to check out any of the materials that we talked about today through Avery Dennison, or any of the other materials that you may be trying to produce on one of our other products. Profiles are a very important topic there. So, Molly, thank you. We're going to get you to hold with us, if you don't mind. We're going to go now, though, to our 3D specialist, Josh Hope, who's going to talk a bit about the 3D FF222. Before we switch to that video and go live with Josh there, don't forget to follow us on social, any of the topics that we discussed today. Check out our tips, tricks, our resources page on our website, mimakiusa.com. And like, subscribe, follow, whatever your flavor is of social media. We look forward to engaging with you there. So, That being said, I am going to switch the feeds here to our specialist here, Josh Hope, and see what he's got in store for us on the 3D printer. So stick with us. Right, we are with Josh Hope on our 3D team here to talk a little bit about 3DFF222 and some of the applications that have been developed just recently. Josh, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what you do for the 3D team here at Milwaukee.
So my name is Josh Hope. I'm Senior Manager for the 3D group. So that we're over the 3D UJ553, the full color 3D printer, the 3D FF222, the small filament printer that you see here, and then we also have the 3D GD1800, which is a extremely large format 3D printer that we're going to be seeing more of in the future here from Milwaukee.
Absolutely, yeah. The exciting additions to our family in the 3D space.
Exactly.
So we wanted the discussion today to kind of start here as it relates to the topic at hand, right? So we're trying to get back to business, and we've seen a lot of things come up on the internet as a result of COVID. How has COVID affected the 3D space in general?
Yeah, 3D printing has really kind of started to shine quite a bit with the COVID situation. We've had multiple customers who have really kind of pivoted their businesses from what was their core business to now focusing on PPE production, focusing on creating parts for ventilators, focusing on supplying the community and their industry with things that will help not only keep people safe, but help get us back to business as quick as possible. And some great examples of those we have here. Go ahead and show them. So a very small one, very basic one. So this is a bit of a stress reducer for a mask that you might wear. So this goes behind your head to keep the stress of the elastic bands off your ears. So for people like nurses or doctors that are wearing masks for long periods of time, this can be a really, really nice thing. Super easy and inexpensive to print.
Yeah.
And I should say that any of these files that we're showing are available on the Milwaukee resources page. So we've got that page dedicated to the COVID-19 applications. So you can download these and they're ready to print. A little bit more of another PPE piece would be the shield. So again, this is just a different color filament that was used. All of these were printed on the 3D FF222. So this is the shield, the head shield at the top, and then a piece at the bottom that just helps the shield keep its shape. And this is just a PTEG material that can be cut even on the Milwaukee CF2 flatbed cutter. If you have an appropriate material, you could laser cut it. You could also cut it even on the small CFL cutter as well. So this is another great PPE example.
Very nice.
Another smaller piece, again, for a face shield. You can see these are small and they're designed to go on this printer, which has a printable area of about 8 inches by 8 inches by 8 inches. So we're able to stack these multiples together and then break them apart once they're printed. So this is just another style of face shield. We have some door handle openers. So this can be used on a lever handle for a door, and there's multiple sizes and different orientations so that you can open a door using your arm rather than actually using your hand just to help the spread of germs or keep the spread of germs. We have some valves that can be used for taking some of the ventilator equipment and splitting it off so you can use a single ventilator for multiple patients. That's probably one of the more advanced things that we've done. And then again, something very simple is this little hook, and this can be used to either push buttons or to open a door, carry bags, things like that. And again, just to keep as little contact as possible.
Excellent. So this little device obviously has a lot of different functions. Most print shops have either looked at or considered 3D printing as a next step. What would you say is the best way to get into 3D printing with something like this? Is this the right step for like a sign shop or a regular printing shop?
Honestly, I think this is a fantastic place to enter in, because I think that most sign shops or most print shops, they know that 3D printing is going to impact their business at some point, and they know that they're going to have to dip their foot into that pool, but they're really unsure of where to do it, how to be competitive, and things like that. this is really an opportunity to be able to get a inexpensive machine like this, a filament printer, to be able to start printing existing files. And these are things that you could sell, you could donate, but what you're going to learn from it is you're going to learn about the technology of 3D printing. You're going to learn about the limitations of it. You're going to learn the terminology of 3D printing, understanding what file formats are acceptable, how to take a file and then make sure that it's ready to print. So people that are used to using prepress for print files, it's a similar process, different software, but a similar process in the 3D printing world. Once you've kind of got this under your belt and you're ready to go, then you can take this same machine and do things like smaller thermoforming jigs. You can do jigs for the flatbed UV machines like the UJF series. And then it becomes a part of your workflow. So you're not having to kind of jump into the deep end. This allows you to wade into that 3D world. And then as you get more comfortable with it, progress to more and more complex pieces and get it more integrated into your business.
So I want to get into 3D printing. I'm looking at one of these products Mimaki has, this 3DFF222, and I'm looking at all the information out there. There's a lot of file prep, there's a lot of software involved with doing 3D production. Where do I begin if I'm looking at one of these products?
So this printer comes with a license for Tinkercad.
Okay.
So that's a great place that you can start to design a little bit. And then just like Shutterstock, there's other websites that are out there that allow you to go in, browse for a basic idea like a bracket or a shelf that you want to be able to print, search for that, and then you can pay a small fee and get a downloadable file. As you start to progress more, you can invest in software like Autodesk NetFab. It's around $300 for a year, and that is a very robust program that will allow you to take your designs in, double check them for stress points, make sure that all of your designs are watertight and they're ready to print. So it's a fantastic starting point.
Okay, and obviously you have to communicate to this with software as well. I'm assuming just like on the 2D side, the design software and the software that communicates with the print are separate. Is that the case in the 3D space? Do you have like a RIP for this, or how?
It isn't. There really isn't a RIP so much. There's what I call a slicing program.
Okay.
So we use open file formats, so STL files, OBJ files, VRML, things like that. There's a series of file formats depending on the design software that you use that you can create your file, save it, send it to the software that comes with the printer itself, and it will show you the layout of the bed so you can position, rotate, scale, and then it will actually slice the file and then send it to the printer, and you're ready to go.
Okay. And then as an operator that's never worked with 3D, obviously there's an additional axis you have to contend with 3D, right? So two-dimensional, you just have to make sure you're not going to run into your material, and you have enough space for the ink to drop down. How hard is a product like this to align? Clearly we're dealing with additional axes. We have a table size, so you have to make sure your table is completely level. How hard is it for someone to download a file off of one of the sites that you mentioned, load it in the software, hit go, and have it actually produce something usable?
It's very simple. For a machine like this, you're looking at setup of maybe an hour or so, just to kind of familiarize yourself with it, get the bed level, and ready to start printing. It's really not a difficult process at all. And the really great thing is that a lot of the things that you learn here, as you said, getting used to X and Y, which we're used to in the 2D world, now adding that Z axis, those things that you learn on this machine will translate up to our larger products as well.
Okay. And then lastly, obviously with some of the features on this is an enclosed unit. A lot of the ones, like you mentioned earlier, the really inexpensive ones, because you can go on Amazon and find one of these 3D printers for $100, $200, but most of those are very open. There's very minimal amount of parts. This has obviously got casing around it. I'm assuming there's some sort of filtration, because when you're doing 3D printing, you're heating up plastics. Can you talk about what this machine here does for that? Because a lot of our customers are probably going to be concerned about outgassing different types of materials.
Yeah, this machine, it prints with a PLA material. It's a very safe machine. It's designed to be in an office environment. Part of the enclosure is the fact that you can put it on your desk and you're ready to go. There is a filtration system. There's a fan system with it. The filter's in the back. Very easy to deal with.
Okay. So if I'm a print shop that's got a retail environment, this is safe to plug in, start producing?
Absolutely. And the other thing that's really great about it is if you get one of these and you find that you're getting enough business to sustain it, you can keep adding additional machines, right? So you can scale up as much as you need to in small, affordable increments.
Okay. Speaking of scaling, obviously this is the smallest one that's offered by Milwaukee. We have, like you mentioned earlier, 2 other jumping points. Are you able to take parts off of one of these products, like the small entry level, and also utilize them in some of the other ones as you graduate into more complicated 3D devices?
So yeah, it's a little more complicated question. From this machine to the 3D GD, those file formats would be very, very similar because they're both one color machines. So you can take those, you can scale them up as needed. The 3D UJ553, because that's a color machine, you have the added element of having coloring or texturing onto those files.
Okay.
So it's a little more complex, but we've done a couple of videos, how-tos on those for the 3D UJ553 and with the Adobe Substance software. Both of those videos are available on YouTube, and I think you can get to those from our Mimaki web source site as well.
Excellent. Yeah, so you've also hosted several webinars, and I think you'll have some more in the future. Those are also obviously available on the events page on our website, the resources page. Those are obviously available on our resources page on our website. Anything else that anyone needs to know as it relates to this particular product?
I think the main thing is not to be scared of it. I think this is something that it's a minimal investment. It's a technology that continues to grow on a daily basis. If it's something that you've considered doing in the past, this is a great time to get in. You've got some things that you can make right off the bat and get started.
And if you have a existing Mimaki 2-dimensional printer like a UJF or a JFX, you can make jigs like you mentioned earlier. So that's a great segue into that.
Absolutely.
As well. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your insight today on the 3DFF. Great applications there. I'd say the one where you relieve the stress. I don't wear a mask quite as long as medical workers, but that does help out quite a bit to not have all that stress on your ears and on your face.
It's a really cool little design. This was actually designed by a Boy Scout who came up with this design, and it's been going like wildfire. And again, you can download this right off the Milwaukee site and start printing them right away.
That's awesome. Thanks for your time today, Josh. We really appreciate it, and we will move on to our next section.
Thanks, Josh, for that video, and thanks, Maxwell, for talking to him. I love seeing what the 3D department is always working on. It's always blows us away. We've been talking a lot about the roll-to-roll capabilities of the UV printers and solvent printers and the 3D applications that we just brought up. But we also have a wide range of textile printers from the TX300P to the 1800 MK2. All of those, you have just as many applications on those. I think we're all both wearing the ties that were printed on these machines. We also have recently these Mimaki masks that were made with those machines, all printed on fabric, breathable, machine washable, but still with bright designs on the front that you can put whatever design you want, print whatever design you want on them. All of these applications pertaining to COVID and the COVID response, including all the 3D applications that Josh just talked about, are on our YouTube page and on our website, MimakiUSA.com. Just go to the COVID page on our website and you'll see the list of applications, how-to guides, and more information about steps to make them yourself.
Yeah, we have some great webinars as well with some of our industry partners for fabrics, for antimicrobial fabrics and everything else. So fantastic place to get information about our textile line. Before we move forward, don't forget, follow, subscribe, go to our website, and we're going to come back in just a few moments, and we're going to field questions from you, our audience, that have been hopefully being posted in the chat window. We'll bring in a couple more guests once we come back. So stick with us for just a few more minutes, and we'll be back momentarily.
Start by planning your visit and call your local Mimaki Demo Center. Before coming into the building, please put on your mask. If you do not have one, we can provide you one. Extra points if you printed your own mask. Sanitation stations are available at every entrance. A Mimaki representative will take your temperature before you enter the building. Please keep a distance of at least 6 feet between people during your visit. Now, let's get to printing. Thank you for visiting Milwaukee. We hope to see you again soon.
Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for all of the engagement. We're going to invite in Molly Waters back in, our guest from earlier. We're also going to invite in Evan Ozick, who is our Director of Technical Services here at Milwaukee, USA, to field any technical questions that may have been posed. And we're also going to introduce into the conversation Lisa Humrick, who is our social media and public relations manager here at Milwaukee, USA. So Lisa, if you're on with us, we'd love to hear some of the questions that the audience has asked us today.
Thanks, Mike. We do have a few questions from social media. I'll start with the 2513EX. The question is, how can I print applications with 2.5D effect?
The 2.5D printing is a method we sent on our flatbed printer, the JFX EX.
Yep.
Yeah, the EX is the only one that has that capability. It's a texturing effect using the clear ink that you can only get on the UV printers. You take a image and take the contrast, sometimes black and white contrast from an image, transfer that into our RIP software, Raster link, and it reads the contrast image and creates a layered clear effect with the based on the contrast. Evan, you know more about the actual process of the layering effect in Raster link, yes?
Yeah, we have a couple different options on it, and thanks for starting off with that one, Lewis. Specifically for the JFX 200EX, we can bring in either a rasterized file or a vector file, and what the 2.5 dimensional software actually does is just simulate height by using our UV printers. So every layer we run with UV comes out to about 0.15 millimeters, and then we can stack up to 17 of those layers. So like Lewis mentioned, we can take a rasterized image that just has a series of grayscale steps and then simulate actual height based on the density of the grayscale steps. We can also do the same thing with vectorized data. So we can bring in something like a font and then put a doming effect on it on the printer while everything's running. So you can have a color image with a stacked up doming effect, or we can stack up effects underneath an image that's going to be printed on top if we wanted to produce something like a somewhat three-dimensional topographic map, but the maximum heights start to level off at about 1.5 millimeters on the top end. These
you can still feel that difference, right?
Yeah, you can actually feel the difference on them, and visually you can see the variation in heights as it goes across. So it's something like fur on an animal or terrain, or if you're trying to highlight ocean waves, it can make some pretty spectacular prints.
And our application specialist, Hugo Gonzalez from LA, actually has posted a few guides and videos on how, more specifically on how to make those files using the JFX EX. So all those are available on our website. You go there and you find all that information there.
Yeah, and the 2.5D is a very interesting application. It creates a unique, higher profit opportunity for you as a shop owner. So if you have one of the devices and you haven't engaged with the 2.5D, I encourage you to do so. If you haven't seen it, certainly give us a call, reach out to one of our showrooms and one of our offices throughout North America, and we can bring you in for a demo so that you can see how that works. And it's a really neat texturing effect, like Lewis mentioned, that's actually pretty easy to do. I mean, it's a couple of clicks of the mouse in our software with some of the plugins that we've got, and you can create these really high value, high profit opportunities for your business. So check that out.
So Mike, are there any other printers that have texturing capabilities?
There are other texturing capabilities on our UV printers, specifically the flatbed line. So like the JFX 200EX or the JFX 500 or our UJF series, our 3042, UJF 6042, and our 7151. But the process is a little different with those because we have a dedicated head for the clear and the white on the EX, which gives us that capability of doing it a little bit more workflow oriented. But you can certainly create textures with those other devices. There's just a couple of extra steps that are involved with it in the software to achieve it, but it's absolutely achievable in other areas. I think, and Evan, you might be able to provide a little bit more insight. One of the benefits of the 2.5D workflow is that you can actually create an embossed or a beveled framing with your drops. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have a couple different options on there depending on how we're stacking the layers. So we can, if you think of it kind of like you're stacking several different size discs, we can put a smaller disc on the bottom so that when the larger successive discs land on top, you get kind of a doming effect. Or we can reverse that process where the larger disc, say a quarter, winds up on the base, and then a nickel would be on that and a dime on that if you want to get a sharper edge. And then we can control how steep that edge is in different areas of the print. Now, kind of like Lisa mentioned, we're able to do that with really any of our flatbed UV machines. What the 2.5D features specifically is a set of software to make that file setup easier. So we have the ability to make very complicated files that consist of 17 different prints on a UV flatbed that all stack on each other. But it's very graphically intensive and requires a graphic designer to spend a lot of time setting that up. This software really just simplifies that process. So even someone without an advanced graphic design degree can get really spectacular results really easily.
Yeah, and that's through Rasterlink and Rasterlink tools, which are plugged into Adobe and Corel software, correct?
That is correct.
Excellent.
Perfect. Next question is, why do I need to use an Icc profile?
Well, I can start with that one if you don't mind.
Sure.
So the material side of things, I'll let Molly speak to that specifically to ink densities, but Icc profiles are a way for you to adjust the achievable gamut of the printer to the white point on the material that you're producing on. So if you look at a sheet of paper versus a piece of adhesive back vinyl like Avery manufactures, if you look at them up close, like Lewis was mentioning earlier with the reds, you'll see that they are completely different whites. So when your light refracts through that ink, your wavelength of light that comes back is going to be different. So your hue of that color is going to shift depending on the medium that you're printing to. So what the Icc profile does, in addition to density, is it allows us to tune in that color so that when you choose a specific color on the software, which is a completely different process than the real world, it gives you the ability to represent that color properly on that medium so that you get that Coca-Cola red or the Mimaki red that you're looking for very easily. So it's a set of checks and balances digitally that instructs the printer how much ink to lay down and at what time so that you get that color represented properly. And then Molly, I think from your perspective, there's a lot more in the profile as it pertains to what the material can actually handle.
Yeah, so color is obviously one of the biggest reasons for profiles. It gives you that consistent, repeatable color. But in the early steps of creating a profile, we create ink limits so that we're able to determine how much ink that particular media can handle. And you also get your drying settings set up within the profile. So that's going to help with not overloading the ink or the media with ink so that it's too soft or it doesn't dry well when it runs through the printer. So, that's the other part of why a profile is important.
Yeah, and then from a cost management perspective, you can develop a profile that achieves a lot of color with really a reduced amount of ink, depending on the medium that you're going to. So it's also a way for customers to get that dry time, like you mentioned, depending on the technology, like in the case of Solvent, it's quicker, but it also gives you the ability to manage how much ink you're putting down, which is a really good cost savings method, right? So you've probably dealt with a lot of different profiles with the social distancing placards that we've dealt with here.
Yes, and you can also change the amount of inks being put down in our ripping software. After you've chosen the profile, it shows what material you're using. You can choose in the RIP software specifically the amount of CMYK colors individually or together that are being put down on the material, including the. You can also choose how much white and black is being put down. But it is easier instead to just choose the right profile from the beginning. It saves you time. It's it's just easier when you have the right profile for the right material that you're using and on the right printer.
Yeah. Evan, anything we missed there?
The only thing I'd point out that doesn't seem to come up a lot is I think in our field we tend to have these Icc discussions and get really deep into the technical details. One of the benefits for somebody just getting into the business or getting a new machine is Mimaki has fairly extensive libraries for all kinds of media, and Avery's been a fantastic partner in working with us to make sure that we have ready to go canned profiles available on websites. So Raster link, as well as the industry leading RIPs that are out there, it's really simple just to download an Icc profile for the appropriate Avery material to get it running right away. Now, like we've mentioned, that you can get into very specific cost saving measures with Icc profiles, advanced color matching. They can get down into some really serious technical details, and sometimes even Mimaki reaches out to experts in the field to get things moving along. But we do make it really, really simple just to get started. It isn't something where you need a degree in color management just to get really good looking prints out of your machine.
Yeah, good points.
That's a good segue for the next question. How much outgassing is needed for solvent versus UV inks?
So I'll take that one. On the solvent side, the solvent ink actually penetrates into the surface of the PVC that we print on. And then as it evaporates, it leaves behind the pigments that we've laid in there. It makes for an incredibly durable print, but we do have to allow time for that solvent to evaporate off the surface for a couple different reasons. Mimaki recommends strongly waiting at least 24 hours. That can sometimes be accelerated by altering heat and airflow over the surface, but we really recommend the 24 hours. If you try to install the product before the solvent has evaporated off, it can be very difficult. There's also an issue where if we laminate before it's really evaporated off, we can create silvering where air pockets are caught. We can also create situations where the contents of the ink can kind of go backwards and attack the adhesive. So we see a lot of posts online about trying to accelerate that process. For the best quality graphic, which in the end, and my feeling is going to bring you more repeat business, you really do want to wait the 24 hours. That's kind of what we see on the machine side. I would like to kind of turn that question over to Molly too, to kind of address it from the media standpoint.
I absolutely agree with you. 24 hours is our recommended time as well. And for the same reasons that you mentioned, that solvent does make the film feel softer, which then makes the adhesive feel tackier, and it can become a real challenge, especially with heavy ink loads in the image for an installer to put the graphics on. To take it a step further, when you do that outgassing for 24 hours, we actually recommend that you take that roll and stand it on end and spin it out so that air can flow across it. I've seen some shops will actually build drying chambers where they can get the film up off the floor and even have a fan blowing air across it. That could actually reduce the time, but it's still ideal to wait the full 24 hours.
Yeah, and I mean that's a tenet of solvent printing in general, right? It's not just limited to Milwaukee with that wait time, and that's a limit of the chemistry itself. But the benefits on the back end of that are, like what Evan mentioned, a much more durable, outdoor durable print. And it goes without saying that anything that's outdoor durable is certainly indoor durable for probably an even longer duration of time in different environments. So, solvent's certainly been like the mainstay of our portfolio leading into the sign and graphics market. So if you have the opportunity to use that product properly, you're going to get the best results. And there's also warranties available, like Avery, you guys have the ICS warranty that we were a beneficiary of. If you're able to follow those technical notices properly.
Perfect. Speaking about the differences between solvent and UV, Mike, when you're considering buying a UV printer versus a solvent printer, what are some of the things that you should consider?
That is a great question. The technology as it stands today has really gotten very parallel. So a lot of what you can do on the solvent printer, you can also do on the UV curable printer. Mimaki has been a developer of UV LED technology for a long time. We've been in that field for quite a few years. I think we're on our 13th or 14th generation of product at this point. And it's able to last outdoors almost in the same environment as solvent to mimic that. But it certainly gives you some benefits. So it really comes down to the application, right? And if you go to our website and you go to our selector tool, what do you want to start with? It's going to walk you through a series of questions that's going to drive you to the right discussion point, whether it's a solvent or UV. But for most of our customers that are doing all outdoor applications, maybe they're doing vehicle graphics or something that's going to be outdoors for a long time, the solvent is typically the place that we start. But if you want a versatility of materials that you can print to and widen the spectrum of what you can offer your customers, you're not losing a lot to go to the UV curable versus the solvent in terms of outdoor capabilities, but you're opening up a broader spectrum of materials. So you can go into clear because we have white ink with that. You can do some of the textured printing that we mentioned.
You can do car wrapping if you switch to our more flexible UV inks, which the 200 inks, the LUS 200 inks.
Right, so you're not really losing a lot there when you're switching to UV curable versus solvent. So it really comes down to the application and what you're trying to do.
And also, if you're using, if you're going to be printing something that needs to be cut or used, would you rather have one printer, or are you looking for a printer and a cutter aside, or what combination you need? Really, what kind of speed you are working on for each application. We have access to all the printers in our every line of printer that we have here. And when I get a application in, I'm deciding which printer will take the least amount of effort, least amount of switching, or which printer is going to give me the best quality, which printer is going to give me the most for the least amount of effort.
Right.
So sometimes that is the UV inks with the no wait time, but sometimes the wait time with switching between like the two different machines, the CG cutter is a cutter by itself. Sometimes people think that the UCJV, buying that will be a substitute for not having a separate cutter, but the CG is actually much faster. It is a much faster machine. So sometimes I will print on one machine, and even though that machine has a cutter on it, I will switch to the CG because it is faster. Just let that run. It really depends on what you're using, what you want to be printing, and what your time frame is.
Yeah, managing your expectations.
Yeah.
Evan and Molly, anything to add there?
The only thing I'd point out, being in the field, is I would say the solvent printers are kind of a staple in the industry. So it is an area where it can sometimes be difficult to be competitive with your competition because almost everyone has one. So it's kind of a unique product because you almost need it to be in the business, but everyone else has one too. So the nice thing about going over, or really I'd say adding UV into the portfolio of machines at a given facility, is that it dramatically expands the type of things you can print on. I don't think solvent printing is going to go away anytime soon. I think it's going to be around for quite some time, but we're seeing a lot of innovative sign shops come up with new applications using our UV products. I'm constantly surprised by what we see people doing out there with the UV machines. They're things that we've really never seen on the solvent side.
Yeah, I would agree with what Evan said. You see the UVs becoming more and more popular because it has more versatility.
Yeah, and one of the benefits of the Mimaki product line is that we've already built in whatever you may need from a cost management perspective. So we have core technologies built into all of our machines that help you manage, the fact that the printer is producing a drop, that it's actually running consistently, whether it's a solvent or UV. So kind of back to the core of the question, it really does come down to the application. There's not a wrong choice in our portfolio. You're going to get a very good result. You're going to get a very good workflow. It just really comes down to what your expectations are for time and what else that you want to print on. So it's a very good topic to discuss, and bring it into our showroom. Follow us on social, go to our website, and you'll be able to get tips, tricks, all kinds of different things that will kind of help you navigate that discussion point. And we do have a selector tool on our website that will help you based on a couple of questions that you answer. It'll give you a solution that will probably be the best for you in your current needs. So check that out. Great question.
Speaking of applications, Louis, what applications are you seeing that have increased in popularity?
Floor graphics and window graphics, I've seen a big uptick in that, mostly because those are the ones that change constantly. I've seen during this whole pandemic that's happened, I've seen businesses that are requesting new signage daily, like from the beginning of the week, needing like new hours being posted on the outside of their window because they cannot change their hours on their website, and then changing later on in the week to actually our hours are going to be changed again to, actually we're closed, and then changed again later in the week, so we'll be open next week with these new updated hours. So the constant change of information, I've seen an uptick because of that in removable graphics. I've seen a lot of removable floor graphics. We've all seen the change in our supermarkets that we go to, signage just out on sidewalks for social distancing. So yeah, those are the main ones that I've seen.
And a lot of textile printing.
A lot of face
textile printing.
Different variety of like materials that people are requesting, new more breathable fabrics for runners and active wear. Yeah, we've seen an increase for textiles for sure.
Molly?
The same thing. Floor graphics and windows are definitely the two that I see the most, with floor being number one. And, they are changing out. Floor graphics have a 3 to 6 month durability anyway. So even if the message isn't changing, they still have a set life that they'll need to be replaced out as they wear out from constant people walking across them. So definitely a huge increase in that area.
Okay, next question is actually from the chat window. The question is, can you create your own profile to import into Rasterlink using a spectrophotometer?
I'll take it. Yes, you can do that and bring it into Rasterlink. As a printer manufacturer, Rasterlink is set up with some options that aren't present basically in a standard Icc profile. So we do have a product called Mimaki Profile Maker that can do all the color management, bring everything in, and create a Rasterlink profile. We do also work with a couple other companies that we take generic ICCs, add the necessary information, which for us are things like heater presets, modes the machine needs to be in, UV lamp timing sequences, embed those along with the color profile, and then bring them in. If you want to create your own, you will either need a copy of Mimaki Profile Master to do that. That product does work with several X-white colorimeters, and then we do have relationships with other companies like Barbieri, where we essentially take the output from the Barbieri device and then bring it into Rasterlink. Right now, bringing ICC directly into Rasterlink is not an option. We do have that software optimized for our equipment. We do, however, work with just about every third-party grip manufacturer out there, many of which are industry leaders like Wasatch, Onyx. I name a lot of products from SAI like Freshly Cyanide on there. If you have specific questions about how to do that with your products, or if you need an ICC updated, if you'd like to reach out at us or to us on our call center number at 888-530-3992, we'll see if we can get that up in the chat window. And depending on the situation you're in, we can address your needs pretty easily.
Molly, we have another question in the chat window. What material are people using for floor graphics and laminates?
So the main materials that we've been recommending are the MPI 2903 with the permanent adhesive, or the MPI 2921 EZ with the removable. And then the laminates with those would be our MPI or DOL 3000 series, which is the 60 is the gloss, the 3070 is the luster, and the 3080 is the matte. So any of those would work well for a floor graphic.
And is the laminate like an anti-skid laminate?
Yeah, so instead of creating a special line of laminates, we actually went and had our standard laminates. So actually the DOL 2000 as well as the DOL 3000 series have all been tested for the UL 410 for slip resistance, and they all meet that standard. So, that gives you an option of basically 6 different laminates you can use for floor graphics.
Have another question for you, Molly, from social. What applications do you recommend using wet application?
So for wet application, as I mentioned earlier, I try and stay away from using wet, or not try, definitely stay away from using wet when you're dealing with air egress films with the EZ technology or perforated. But where I tend to see wet used a lot is when you're applying, a film to glass that does not have the air channels, specifically like clear films. So our MPI 2077 or our SF 100-103 Ultra Clear are both clear films that their primary use is on glass, and both of those are very receptive to being used with wet application technology.
Okay. Next question is, are there any special cleaning products or procedures that you would recommend before applying graphics?
Yeah, you want to make sure that all the contaminants are removed. If you need to use soap and water or something like that to get the window clean. But the final cleaning, we recommend using isopropyl alcohol. You can use the 90% and cut it so it's not as pure, or you can use the 70% alcohol, and that's just isopropyl that you get from the drugstore. It doesn't have to be denatured or anything like that, but that gets all of the impurities off the window, and then you would continue on with your application.
Very good.
If I can jump in there on wet applications specific to like window graphics, there's a whole series of tips and tricks that we have on our side and recommendations for different ink technologies to use if you're going to be doing window graphics specifically with wet applications and also cleaning them. It's important to follow those guidelines so that you get the best results, because some of the window graphics, like when you're producing with a white ink, you may not be laminating that unless you have an optically clear laminate. So go to our website. It'll give you some guidance on how to do that properly, so that whatever cleaning agent that you're using, whether it's a 90% isopropyl, denatured, or something like a simple green or something like that, it'll give you some guidance on how that's going to interact with the print and give you the best results. And you can turn that information over to your customers so that when they're cleaning the surface, you don't have to worry about them calling you and asking you a ton of questions about why it's reacting the way that it is.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, that's a great segue for the next question. Are there any classes that Mimaki and Avery offer?
Well, I'll start there and then let you take that after, Molly. So Mimaki constantly has education. We're constantly doing webinars. We're constantly doing tech tips, tricks. We do a lot of technical trainings. We have shifted a lot of that online in the current situation. But with all of our showrooms throughout North America, whether you're in Toronto or the New York area, Boston, Atlanta, Dallas, Milwaukee, or Los Angeles, we do have training facilities built into each one of these showrooms, and we do work with partners like Avery Dennison to come in and talk about different things. So, switch my earpiece there. I think I died. There we go. Dropped off for a second there. There you are. Sorry about that. Yeah, so we do have training. It's a live show, right? We're in a live environment. We have training facilities all over North America to support any type of education. We also host to something that Evan had mentioned earlier, ICC color classes. There's a wide variety of different things in the print and cut world that we need to address with our customers from time to time. And those training seminars are typically put up on our events page. If there's something specific that you're looking for, you can reach out to one of our dealers and see if there's something that we can put together with them, one of our industry partners like Avery Dennison, and we can host it at one of our facilities near you. So we're constantly offering different things, but we're also open to suggestions from our customer base. So yes, we do have training. And then Molly, you guys also offer some training within your facilities, correct?
We do. We have wrap classes that we offer across the country. The schedule's a little bit up in the air right now with COVID, but we're looking at that month by month. But those are available. We also do 2 business boot camps per year, and those are directed towards business owners, and kind of touch on all aspects of owning a business, to pricing and choosing RIPs, choosing equipment, printers, and it's taught by Justin Pate and John Duver, and then we have special guests that come in for that as well. So then we also we do some videos when we launch new products, and those are all available on our YouTube page.
Molly, while we have you, we have somebody in the chat window that didn't catch the laminate that you mentioned for floor graphics.
It would be either the DOL 3000 series or our 2000 series, and that would be all 3 finishes within both. So it would be for the 3000, it's 3060, 3070, and 3080, and the 2000 series would be 2060, 2070, and 2080.
Perfect. Mike, last question. Our inks. Does Mimaki make inks?
Yes, we do. We manufacture all the inks that go into our equipment, and we're very proud of that fact. Our Mimaki original inks are designed in the development process to work with the equipment. So we specifically pick all the components of the machine depending on what we expect the machine's going to be used for. And that ink is developed alongside that. So when we're developing the ink, we can fine tune the ink so that the print head creates the drops that we're looking for, gives you the speed that you're looking for, the quality, the cost saving features, everything else. And we bring all these things together so that when you open software and go to hit print, the machine performs exactly the way you expect it to right out of the box. So we're really proud about that. And we manufacture inks for the solvent printers, the UV printers. We have flexible and rigid within that family. We also offer a wide variety of textile inks, like for the sublimation process like this here, where we do dye sublimation inks. We offer textile pigment inks, reactive inks, acid dyes. We can print on wools, cotton, hemp, all kinds of different things. So we manufacture all these inks. We manufacture the machines that work alongside that. And because we're the chemist and the electronics and also the framing manufacturer, we're able to make sure that you get the best possible experience you can. And we certainly don't have a lot of time to go into it today, but we have a ton of core technologies built into the machines as well. And then that helps with your cost savings. And then Evan, did I miss anything there?
No, I think you hit all the highlights for it. even with the, you brought up the COVID situation, I think Molly did, and the difficulty in scheduling these classes, but we've moved a lot of that online, and specifically to the inks. We manufacture internationally, so even if different countries are hit with a different set of circumstances, I can't say it won't affect our supply line, but certainly a lot less than a lot of our competition has been experiencing. So on that end of things, it's really nice to work with a company that's kind of planned for emergencies like this.
Yeah, absolutely. You bring up a great point. I mean, our manufacturing facilities in all the countries that I mentioned earlier in this broadcast allow us to shift and adjust to the economic climates, regardless of the country that we're trying to sell in. And we haven't experienced really any shortages on the Mimaki side at all as a result of COVID. And because of that, we're able to get back to business very quickly, right? So we're able to get our showrooms back up and running, invite our customers in. And then with all of the applications and everything that you've been developing with the team here to make sure that our environment is safe, we're ready to show you what we've got here and really get back to business with you. So if that's all the questions, I'll probably start to wrap this up. Lisa, do we get any more questions there?
Just one more.
Okay, perfect.
Related to the inks, they want to know if there's any consideration to make those inks in the U.S.
There's always an opportunity for Mimaki to expand our opportunities within the countries that we serve. We have invested a lot in our infrastructure globally in the past 10 years. We've opened many manufacturing facilities in Europe and Asia. So there's always an opportunity that also could occur here in the U.S. or in Canada or somewhere in the Americas. So stay with us as we continue to grow and expand and innovate. There's always going to be new ways for us to be more efficient and get the products to market quicker.
Thank you, Mike. That is the end of the questions.
All right. Well, Louis, if you got any final thoughts?
No, just thank you all for spending time with us, letting us talk about the different things we've seen in the market, the different applications that we've been testing out. Like we said, we are still working on getting this showroom up and running. Our demo room is ready for anyone who has any questions, who wants to talk with us. Feel free to contact us, and that includes any of the other Mimaki buildings that we have in the U.S. We're here to help. I know these are difficult times, but we hope we can help you.
Yeah, I mean, we're a very young, innovative company, and we have a lot of really good human resources. We've got some incredible talent on our team. So go to our website, engage with our local teams, check out our events page, also go to our locations page. Evan, how about you? Any last thoughts?
No, just thanks for inviting me on. And Molly, it was a pleasure to meet you. I really appreciated the opportunity.
Yeah, well, Molly, we'll give you the final word here before we start to wrap up.
Well, thanks. I appreciate being invited to this. And, if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to us as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is a live environment. Yeah. This is certainly a learning curve for all of us. Again, thank you for all of your patience through some of the whatever gum we had to work out of the system earlier. But it's been a pleasure speaking to everybody today, everybody that's been online. Thank you, everybody that's engaged in the chat window. We will be doing more of these in the future, so go to our website, follow us on social. Make sure that you get any kind of updates that you need so that we can understand where your questions are going to come from, and maybe we can custom tailor a conversation in the future to really address anything that you might want to know about. So I'll wrap up with saying that the print community, again, is one of the tenets of the getting back to business, right? That's been the theme of this whole topic. And really, the graphical communication piece is critical for the economy. It's an important piece, and Mimaki is 100% invested in the print community. And because you are our family, whether you've ever used a Mimaki product or not, we've started an initiative called Together We Print. It's on our website. The links are on the chat window. We'll pop the link up there for you. And they're also available on the ticker that you've probably seen across the screen. And we're really proud of it. Together We Print is our thank you to you, the printing community. And it's a way for us to show you that we're all in this together. So that initiative is a simple initiative. It's a way for you to promote your business and what you can do for your local communities to help your retail outlets, your restaurants, your grocery stores, whatever it is, get back up and running, because they're going to need this graphical communication that you can create for them in order to comply with those restrictions in their whatever city, town, state, wherever you reside. So we've provided you an opportunity on our website. It's a very simple process. You go on, you just tell us who you are, provide us some information so that we can promote it for you. And that's essentially what we're going to do, is we're going to promote it for you on our website. It'll let other people that may not have known that they may pass your shop up every day and not realize you're there. And they go online, and if you do a Google search for printing, you get a really long list of weird results, and it's not necessarily going to drive the customer to your front door. So the Together We Print initiative has been put on our website for you, our community, so that you can promote your business. And we hope that you join us in bringing the economy back and getting back to business.
Yeah.
So with that, I will wrap things up, and we have one more piece of news. For our followers, for the people that have joined us today, we will be running a promotion. It is a special giveaway promotion. Go to our website for details, but for our social media fans here, we will be providing one lucky winner a 3DFF 222 that you saw earlier with Josh. We will be providing that to one lucky winner in the month of July. So go to our website, follow us on social, check it out. We'll have the rules and what you need to do to make sure that you're considered for the sweepstakes here, if you will. And one lucky recipient will get a 3DFF 222 in the month of July. So we look forward to seeing you online. And Louis, I can't thank you enough for joining me on this endeavor. This has been an adventure to get going. And
yes, it's good to be here.
I want to give a shout out to our producer / director behind the scenes here, Mackenzie. She has been feverishly putting this whole thing together, and she helped us create this in a very, very small amount of time. So Mackenzie, thank you so much for your time and effort to get this thing going.
Thank you, Mackenzie.
Yeah, with that being
Appreciate
said,
it.
thank you. Yeah, big thank you. So round of applause for everybody here for our first round event.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys on our website and on social. Thank you for joining us.